In our headlines on this Monday afternoon, February 26th, here in South Korea. The collective action undertaken by doctors in training starting last week in response to government plans to boost medical school admissions quota is looking to expand as medical school graduates turn their backs on internships at hospitals, fueling greater concerns over wider disruptions of essential healthcare. Meanwhile, Seoul's Economy and Finance Minister Choi Sang-mook says the government intends to nurture 1,000 green startups by the year 2027 and 10 pre-unicorn green companies as part of global efforts to ease our carbon footprints by seeking sustainable economic growth initiatives. And speaking to members of the media this past Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy reveals that at least 31,000 Ukrainian soldiers have sacrificed their lives for their country since the start of Russian invasion on February 24, 2022. The tug-of-war between doctors in training and the government here continues, with medical school graduates this time looking to join the collective action by turning their backs on internships. Our Shin Se-byuk starts us off.
Now it's new medical school graduates who are set to join the nation's large-scale trainee doctor strike by refusing to take internships. Hospitals have been scrambling, relying on attending physicians and professors to step in to fill medical service gaps left by a mass exodus of trainee doctors that began last Tuesday. However, the healthcare crisis is poised to deepen with medical school graduates turning down intern positions. According to Seoul National University Hospital, 80 to 90% of interns due to start on March 1st haven't signed their contracts. While at Busan National University Hospital in Busan, all 50 internship candidates slated to start Friday have resigned. Fellows are also contemplating joining the collective action by not renewing their contracts. Attending and fellow doctors from around 80 university hospitals nationwide issued a statement last week where they said that practicing medicine has become untenable amid vilification by the public. The staffing shortage has forced major Seoul hospitals to cut surgeries and treatments by up to half. So far, nearly 80% of the nation's 13,000 trainee doctors from 94 major hospitals have resigned. As of Monday, Samsung Medical Center reduced its surgery schedule by 45 to 50%. Seoul Asan Hospital initially scaled back surgeries by 30 to 40% during the first week of the strike, but has now decided to reduce them further to 40 to 50%. Other hospitals like St. Mary's Hospital and Seoul National University Hospital have also adjusted their surgery schedules in response to the strike. As the strike wave spreads, the nation's Interior Minister Lee Sang-min said in a briefing on Monday that the government would not hold doctors accountable if they return to work by February 29th. He also urged doctors to engage in dialogue with the government for better medical service conditions. In the meantime, the Korean Medical Association has called for an immediate halt to the government's expansion plans, warning of legal action. Arguing such a move would not only compromise the quality of medical education, the KMA said the entire medical sector will fight back using every legal means available until the end. Meanwhile, the KMA is planning a massive rally in Yeouido on the 3rd of the next month, with 20,000 doctors expected to attend. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, in line with global efforts to ease our carbon footprints, the government has shared a roadmap to green growth that includes tangible support for green startups. Our Moon Hae-ryun reports.
In an emergency economic meeting held on Monday, the government revealed its plans for strengthening the country's green industry for global markets.
We will be strengthening support for the green industry by fostering 1,000 green startups by 2027.
It also aims to nurture 10 select pre-unicorn firms in the industry. Pre-unicorn companies are startups with a value of over 100 billion Korean won, or roughly $75 million. The government plans to provide step-by-step support from setting up their business to overseas expansion, including operating a green startup lab where companies can test run their technologies and products. As pre-unicorn companies are currently unable to apply for various types of support due to their comparatively lower sales, the government is aiming to supplement this. Furthermore, 10 key sectors of green businesses have been selected for concentrated support, as the government deems domestic technology in said areas to be among the world's best. These include the likes of secondary batteries, renewable energy waste, and waste plastic. In order to advance into new overseas markets, the government will be targeting specific environmental problems facing each country and offering solutions. Examples stated were proposing alternatives for safe water management policies in Southeast Asian countries and branding Seoul's resource circulation policies for South American countries that are reliant on landfill sites without recycling. Another topic area that was discussed in the meeting was furthering financial support for vulnerable groups such as small business owners that are struggling with high interest rates on their loans. By the end of next month, the government plans to come up with a specific outline for who will be able to receive support and how, such as offering rent support and returning interest paid on loans. 문혜련, Arirang News.
Prices of public services rose on year in January. According to Statistics Korea on this Monday, 30 public services, including utilities, healthcare expenses and transport costs, were up 2.2% on year. Now, this is reportedly the biggest jump in 27 months. Rising costs for healthcare and public transport were the main driving factors. The government has pledged to work with local authorities to keep these prices in check. Also, on the local front, few here in Korea have been buying flowers from the shops. In fact, shopkeepers say even school graduation these days appears to be little cause for celebration with flowers. Our Park Gun-woo tells us why.
Only about 60%. This is what one flower shop owner said when asked how much sales had recovered during the recent graduation season compared to pre-pandemic levels. Graduation season in Korea during December through February is usually when the flower industry sales blossom. But lately, it's been wilting.
Because people haven't been buying flowers that often, even after COVID-19, the need for flowers has disappeared. If people had been continuously buying flowers, they would be interested in buying them and sometimes even making a habit out of buying flowers.
One expert offered other reasons.
There's the perception that flowers are too expensive. And along with the decrease of the school-age population, shrinking overall consumption are other reasons as well.
According to the auction price data from Korea Agro-Fisheries and Food Trade Corporation earlier this month, the prices of many flowers used in graduation bouquets saw on-year increases. In particular, hydrangea was up by around 150%, gypsophila rose by 30%, and freesia around 10%. Experts say factors include bad weather and increased imports of low-cost flowers. So, due to higher prices, people are looking at ways to buy flowers more cheaply.
I usually go to flower markets and buy them in bulk to get them at a more reasonable price.
Some are even trading flowers through used goods smartphone apps. A graduation bouquet like this can cost as much as between $20 and $50, but they are also being traded at lower prices, sometimes reduced by more than 50% on used goods apps. Bouquets that are said to have been used only for a short time to take pictures with at graduation ceremonies are being traded using these platforms. With this having a knock-on effect on the flower industry, one expert says there are ways to see it bloom again.
The distribution stage should be reduced, prices should be lowered for consumers, and appropriate compensation should be given to farmers, and for labor costs due to the change in the labor environment.
And the expert concluded the government should come up with actual measures to revive the industry, along with its 5-year promotional plan announced in 2022, to increase flower production volume by over $520 million by the year 2026. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
A South Korea-based company has been included in a new list of U.S. sanctions for supporting Russia's war in Ukraine. Daesung International Trading was among 93 entities on the latest blacklist disclosed by the U.S. last Friday. According to Seoul's foreign ministry, the head of this particular company is a Pakistani national, and the South Korean government had been informed of the relevant development by the U.S. in advance. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says 31,000 soldiers have sacrificed their lives for their country amid Russian invasion since February 2022. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
Saturday marked 2 years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began the war that's still very much ongoing. The brutal war has led to the death of many civilians, but the Ukrainian government had not released an official figure on the number of soldiers killed in action. However, on Sunday, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy held a press conference in Kyiv and said that a total of 31,000 of the country's soldiers had been killed in the war. He slammed lies by Russian President Vladimir Putin and his government that some 150 to 300,000 Ukrainian soldiers died on the battlefield. Still, the Ukrainian leader said that each death is a huge loss to the country. Both Ukraine and Russia have kept the scale of their military's troop losses confidential to prevent enemies from using the death toll for propaganda purposes. So far, major foreign media outlets have only been estimating the number of military deaths by citing internal sources. The 31,000 military deaths announced by President Zelenskyy is significantly lower than the figure claimed by Russia and the amount of Ukrainian troop losses estimated by the West. UK-based newspaper The Economist last November reported that American officials estimated that 70,000 Ukrainian soldiers were killed in action, while 120,000 were injured. The New York Times reported last August that Russian military casualties had reached 300,000, while Ukrainian military casualties reached approximately 200,000. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu claimed last month that Ukraine lost 215,000 troops in just 2023 alone. During Sunday's press briefing, Zelenskyy further called for Western support and urged the U.S. Congress to pass an additional budget for Ukraine. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
And on a light note now, at the Berlin International Film Festival this past weekend, much applause was extended to a pair of Korean directors, including Sang-soo for his latest screen production. Our Ian Jin has more on the plot. Do take a look.
Director Sang-soo's 31st feature film, A Traveler's Needs, premiered at the 74th Berlin International Film Festival and on Saturday won the Silver Bear Grand Jury Prize. Telling the story of a French woman, played by French actress Isabelle Huppert, who travels to Korea where she teaches a local woman to speak French. The movie highlights the themes of life's unbearable nature and the importance of communication. This is Hong's 7th time entering the Berlinale competition section and his 5th time winning the Silver Bear. 6 South Korean films were featured at this year's festival, highlighting once again the diversity and creativity of Korean cinema. In his acceptance speech, Hong thanked the jury for the prize and said he did not know what the jurors saw in his film exactly, which drew laughter from the audience. But he also expressed how he trusted working with actress Isabelle Huppert.
This might sound very, very irresponsible, but I don't know what I am doing in a way. As I said to her, I have some objective. And I have a kind of a recognized working method that I like, I have developed, and I believe in a certain, how can I say, happening between people.
Huppert has developed a unique relationship with the Korean auteur. Marking her 3rd film with Hong, she spoke of how everything in her relationship with the director has been unscripted and by chance.
I did 2 other films with Sang-soo, and his way of making films is unique. I only know him for doing films like this, and so I was enthusiastic about repeating the experience. In fact, it's very difficult to project yourself in a story or in a role, because there is no role and no story. So, and this is what I really like about it.
Also in competition at the festival was the feature directorial debut of Kim Hae-young. Her film It's Okay, about an orphaned young dancer, won the Crystal Bear for Best Film, an award given out by a jury of children in the Generation K+ section that's dedicated to coming-of-age stories. The Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism, Yoo In-chon, sent congratulatory messages to the two directors, praising this achievement as a proud moment that announces the elevated status of Korean cinema worldwide. Lee Eun-jin, Arirang News.
Staying on the silver screen, actor Timothée Chalamet was in Seoul last week, much to the delight of fans here, to promote his latest production while graciously accepting praise for his role in another currently playing production. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin has more.
My name is Timothée Chalamet. I play Paul Atreides in Dune Part 2.
This 28-year-old American actor is currently making waves at the Korean box office. The musical fantasy film Wonka, featuring Chalamet as young Willy Wonka, topped the box office for 22 consecutive days following its release, becoming the first film of the year to surpass 2 million ticket sales. While February is considered a low season for the big screen, Wonka is about to face competition from another Chalamet film, the sci-fi Dune Part 2. This sets the stage for a two-way showdown between the chocolate man Chalamet and the space army commanding Chalamet.
And I feel that my films, whether it's The King or Dune or Wonka right now, have been as warmly received in Korea as they have been anywhere in the world.
It's a blockbuster sequel following Part 1's triumph during the pandemic. Despite COVID's grip, the Frank Herbert novel-based sensation raked in $400 million at the global box office and sold over 1.6 million tickets in Korea alone. This sensation even brought up the term Dunchinja, meaning Duniac in Korean.
Dune's success comes from the star power of Timothée Chalamet, director Denis Villeneuve's visual effects, and his skillful handling of suspense. Although the genre of space opera wasn't particularly popular in Korea, the movie succeeded because it simplified the original novel's universe into this tight, gripping storyline, making it enjoyable for all.
Part 2 will focus on the main character, Paul Atreides, seeking revenge against the people who killed his family. Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan likened the movie to Empire Strikes Back, often regarded as the best in the Star Wars film franchise.
I will say that Dune Part 2 is a much more muscular movie, meaning about action.
However, the two Chalamet movies are facing another strong competitor. The Korean occult thriller Exuma, starring veteran actor Choi Min-sik, ended Wonka's 3-week box office dominance on the day of its premiere. For the movies themselves, it's a competition, but a treat for film enthusiasts. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In the United States, former President Donald Trump has won the South Carolina Republican presidential primary. Trump, following news of his victory on Saturday, said that he's never seen the Republican Party so unified as it is right now. He defeated the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, who vowed to continue her 2024 presidential campaign in a speech titled "The Fight Goes On" after a South Carolina primary loss. Saturday's defeat is a painful blow to Haley, who was born in South Carolina and served as the state's governor from 2011 to 2017. Trump has been victorious in all three of the other Republican presidential primaries in Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada. Now, the American voters wait for next week's Super Tuesday, where more than a dozen states will cast their votes in the presidential primaries. In Spain, police confirmed Saturday that 10 people were killed in a fire that swept a 14-story apartment block in the country's eastern city of Valencia on Thursday. Some 100 survivors remain housed in a local hotel or with relatives as they seek for a more permanent solution. Hundreds of people gathered outside of Valencia City Hall on Saturday for a moment of silence to mourn the victims. Amid the tragedy came the story of a Ukrainian family who lost everything in the fire, being helped by a Russian family. According to media reports, Ukrainian Hambarov Dmitro and his family received clothes and food from a Russian family in Valencia following the blaze. In the UK, junior doctors in England began a 5-day strike on Saturday over pay disputes with the government. This is the 10th junior doctor strike since last March, when the British Medical Association asked for a 35% pay rise, but was turned down by the country's ministers. According to Health Secretary Victoria Atkins, more than 1.3 million hospital appointments and operations have already been cancelled or rescheduled since the strike began. Junior doctors in Northern Ireland are planning to take a similar protest for 2 days in March. The latest polling from YouGov showed that 50% of the UK public still supports the junior doctors, while 43% were against them. In entertainment news,
Interrupt our news coverage to bring you live feed of President Yoon Suk-yeol's opening remarks at the 15th session of the government's policy briefing.
Hello, we will begin the 15th edition of the policy discussion with the people. Here at the Seosan Air Base, we are going to talk about many things under the theme of Chungnam full of vitality through future industries. The president will deliver his opening remarks. Here at Chungnam is the center of Pan-Yellow Sea region, and I'm very glad to see you all. As I was coming to Seosan today, during my presidential campaign, I had a pledge to the people of Chungnam, and I was reminded of them. It was the cutting-edge industry complex and also Cheonan Medical and Dental Research Center. Those were some of my pledges, and also the civil airport construction as well. For Chungnam to take a fresh leap forward, I will take stock of everything myself. First of all, about the civil airport, it started out its first step this year. The runway of the Air Force Air Base, it will be utilized for civilians as well. Here at the 20th Air Base is the biggest Air Force base in Korea. And this is where the strongest Air Force is stationed. And it will be expanded. The role of the Air Force here will be expanded to upholding people's defense nationwide. And it is important that we construct a civilian-military coexistence model. And we, as the government, has been pursuing variety of policies in this regard. And we have lifted the military facility protection zone, looking into the needs of the residents without compromising security. At the moment, 8.2% of the nationwide land is under the military facility protection zone, and it is heavily regulated, and therefore it is very difficult to construct necessity focused facilities such as schools. And such regulations were introduced in the 1970s, and many things have changed ever since. All areas around the country has been changed, and the needs of the residents have risen. And ever since my government had taken office, we looked very thoroughly into the needs of the national security as well as the needs of the residents. So as long as it does not compromise the security, we will lift the military facility protection zone. In particular, the airbase, Seosan airbase, the vicinity of it, almost all area around this airbase is under the military facility protection zone. And nationwide, such protection zone is a total of 103 million pyong. And here in Seosan, it's 42.7 million pyong. And until now, this zone here in Seosan, I understand that there were plans to connect this area into a plan to make it into a zone where the industry can take a full-fledged development. And with the lifting of the protection zone, I believe that this would be pursued in earnest, and I look forward to a great success and a best practice project that will be a success for sure. Last week in Ulsan, we have announced the rationalization of farmland use, and with the military facility protection zone that has been cancelled, now Chungnam will be taking another leap to become an economic center of the Pan-Yellow Sea region. Until now, Chungnam has been at the center of automobile and display, and also the light emitting OLED has also been produced in Chungnam. And Chungnam, centered around Seosan and the Bay Area, this can take another leap into a place where it could be competing with the Silicon Valley, and the government will do our utmost in this endeavor. Also, Chungnam to be the base for future mobility industry and the center of Korea's defense industry, we will do our support as much as we can. Last year in April, the 15 areas around the country, we have announced the 15 complexes, national industrial complexes last year, and in Chungnam, Cheonan City and Hongseong-gun were designated as the industrial complexes, and we would like to begin the construction as soon as possible, so that it is specialized in future mobility industry, and also using the national defense industry, excellent national defense industry infrastructure, we will develop it into specialized cluster for national defense industry. And within this year, the site development will begin, the design of site development will begin, and the construction will take its leap forward in 2026. And I will make sure to nurture the defense industry of Chungnam for sure. Although we designate such national defense complex, it really takes a long time for this to materialize, and sometimes it feels a bit suffocating because of this slow pace. So from now on, even before the preliminary study, if there is a need, we are going to assist in earnest, and also when the construction of the site is completed, it should be able to go on to build the facilities as soon as possible. And the newly built industrial complexes of Chungnam in Cheonan, Hongseong, and Nonsan, all the auxiliary equipment and the necessary facilities will be developed from the planning stage. And as I iterated before, all the necessary facilities should be coming in together with the industrial complexes such as finance, cultural, and convenient facilities, so that culture and industries can come together and young people can gather. And here in Chungnam, if such things could materialize, the production inducement effect here in Chungnam will be of 24.1 trillion won and employment inducement effect of 81,000 people. And also, companies can directly acquire land, establish development plans, and supply the sites, and that will be corporate innovation park that will be established in Dangjin City. And 35 mobility corporations would come in, and this will be a compound complex, and this will bring in more than 9 trillion production inducement effect, and also more than 35,000 people of employment inducement effect. And for this, we are going to spare no effort in supporting it with taxation support. Taean is where the future mobility services are realized, and it will be made into a smart city. Last year, May, Hyundai Construction and Hyundai Motor came together to announce its smart mobility plan. And with financial support and prompt licensing, from next year onwards, Taean will be able to see an establishment of smart city in earnest. And also, in Chungnam, by designating the economic zone, we are going to create more synergy with different corporations coming together. An employment and industrial zones are not enough for the regions to be a livable place. We need medical system and also educational systems. And therefore, we are going to build police hospital in Asan City to supplement the local medical system in Chungnam, so that both police and residents can enjoy the quality medical services. And also, the Nepo campus of Chungnam National University will be actively supported, so that this place could be the center of the advanced education for the future. With the mayor of Chungnam, Kim Tae-hung, who is here, and many residents of Chungnam are here, and we are going to have a candid discussion of the future direction of Chungnam, and we will reflect your opinions as much as possible. Thank you very much.
네, 대통령님 말씀 감사드립니다.
Right, that was President Yoon Suk-yeol's opening remarks at the 15th session of the government's policy briefing open to members of the public, currently taking place at Seosan Air Base in Chungcheongnam-do Province, where he highlighted the region's role in national security and its potential to be transformed into a commercial zone for broader economic growth. Now, we will bring you details of this particular session in our evening newscast.
Good afternoon. We had a freezing start to the new week in the capital, but highs are going up fast to reach above norms, topping out at 9 degrees in the afternoon. And tomorrow looks to be similar to what we have today. Meanwhile, there's no end in sight for snow in mountainous regions of Gangwon-do. In fact, the area was crowded over the weekend with people wishing to catch the snow-capped mountains. And more snow is in the forecast, with mountainous regions in Gangwon-do potentially seeing up to 7 centimeters through tomorrow. The rest of the East Coast could see up to 5 centimeters of snowfall. Highs are going up similar to slightly lower than season norms in most places. Gyeongju and Chuncheon see highs of 8 degrees this afternoon, and Jeju will only see a high of 9 degrees Celsius. Then we can expect brighter skies than yesterday. Thursday looks to be a wet one nationwide, then spring cold is in store for the start of March. Saturday, we are looking at lows going down as low as -7 degrees here in the capital. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions. Those are the headlines at this hour here in Korea. Coming up next is our panel session, so do stay with us.